2 Corinthians 13 from verse 4. Unless you fail the test, those who pass the test will stand in faith. Those who stand in faith are known, for they are walking in the way of love. Love conquers all. Your challenge that has been worrying you all these years, you know what you didn't need to do? Love your neighbor. Love them and pray for them and see. Just leave everything to God. Surrender all to God. And you will see. You will see. Many people's hearts are filled with sorrow, sadness, anger, bitterness. Yet all those will never give them victory. Only love will give you what? Victory. Victory over evil can only come about when you stand in love. When you stand in love, then victory will come. Remember what Paul said. He said, I would rather be weak in my infirmities, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For when I'm weak, then I'm what? Strong. But the world don't know it, that when you are weak, then you are strong. Do you know that your enemy, they don't know that when you are weak, that's the time that you are strong. You are strong in Christ Jesus. When they come insulting you, your neighbor insulting you, ridiculing you, doing all sorts of things, let your response be love. For when you respond in love and in gentleness of spirit, quietness of spirit, they'll say, this one is weak. They'll say what? This one is weak. Imagine if one slaps you one cheek and you give them another one, they'll say, this one, I've got a party today. They will perceive it to be weakness, yet it will be manifesting the strength and power of God. Who can stand against God and prevail? Nobody. So what you just need is leave it to God. This is why our Lord overcame evil. Remember on the cross, when that other thief said, if truly you are the Son of God, save yourself and also what? Save us as well. In other words, the thief saw that Jesus was weak. Imagine you are nailed both hands and your feet. Can you do anything in the physical? You are weak. So in other words, he was mocking the master. He was mocking him to say, save yourself. In other words, he was looking at salvation in the physical, being saved from dying in the flesh. He was saying, okay, come off the cross and also remove us from the cross. That's what he was saying. But the Lord responded by forgiveness. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. For his response to the other was just, I tell you today, you'll be with me in what? In paradise. He never wasted time addressing negatives. His was to love and nothing else. As a result, he overcame evil. When evil comes visiting your life, you can only overcome that evil by what? By doing good. By doing good. For when you are weak in Christ, then you are strong. Then you are strong in him. When you manifest your weaknesses in the flesh, only then are you strong. For those who can still do something, believe you me, they will never give God a chance. They'll never give him a chance. You know, when you know that you can stand up and walk, you take it for granted, isn't it? I just stand and walk. But when you try to stand up, you find yourself, the body cannot lift. That's when you think, let me pray here. You know, imagine you are lying on your bed. You know that when morning comes, you just take yourself off the bed, isn't it? And you walk to the bathroom, or imagine you try the one leg. The leg says no. You try the other one. It says no. You try to lift your body. It says no. Who do you run to? You start to run to Jesus even when you don't know how to pray. You start to learn how to pray. You start to cry, to try and see whether I can hear you. When we are weak, often we rely on God. Remember, that's what Paul said in 2 Corinthians 1 from verse 8, where he says, I will not let you remain ignorant of the suffering that we went through in the province of Asia. He says, we went through such great suffering that we even despaired of life itself, for it was like death sentence had been imposed upon us. He says, all this happened so that we may not put our reliance in our own selves, but that we may rely in God who quickens the dead. Say, the same God who rescued us, He will rescue us again in any calamity that we find ourselves in. So ours is to do good. To do what? Good. Only children of the slave woman will seek to revenge themselves or to stand in their own authority and power. Not those children who are the children of the free woman. Those who are children of the promise. They are children born of the flesh. Those who are born according to the flesh. And children who are born as a result of the divine promise. I am a result of the divine promise. Me. Tell your neighbor, I am the result of the divine promise. Those who are the result of the divine promise, they are children of God and not slaves. They are not slaves, but they are children of God. This is what we are told when we read Galatians 4 from verse 21. That Abraham had two sons, one by the slave woman and the other by the free woman. For the one was under the law, and the other was under grace. For they too represented the two covenants. The one was the covenant at Mount Sinai, which was represented figuratively by Hagar. You know Hagar? You remember Hagar? The slave woman. And the other, which was the free woman, represented by Sarah. For Mount Sinai in Arabia represented the Jerusalem, that is the physical Jerusalem, which together with his children is under slavery. Yet the free woman is the heavenly Jerusalem. The heavenly Jerusalem. The one that is above. And those who are children of the free woman, they are free, for they were set free for their freedom. They were set free for their freedom. For the child of the slave woman was born according to the flesh, and therefore a slave of sin. But the son who was born of the free woman, he was born as a result of the divine promise. And they are free, set free for their freedom. We are set free for our freedom. To be free. Free. That's why the word says, rejoice, you barren woman. Break into song, shout, make shouts of joy. You who never bore any children, who never entered into labor, for many are your children. It says, for many are your children, you without a husband. You who is without a husband. You know, like if you read also Isaiah 54 from verse 1, it says, enlarge the place of your tents. Extend the place of your tents. So the two sons were representing the two covenants. The two what? Covenants. Those who are children of the free woman are children of God. They are children of God. They are born of the Spirit of God. They are born of the Spirit of God. That's who we are. For as long as you remain carnal, whose mind is governed by the flesh, you remain a slave. For one who continues to sin is a slave.